Hi YouTube family! My name is Elisha English.
And I'm Philip English.
Welcome back to our channel. Today we have sunshine.
We do.
Yay! The last couple of days we have been having hail, snow, pouring rain, high winds, not camper renovating weather at all. So we did a whole bunch of prep work for stuff that we need to do this week on the camper and did some stuff with the kids, and we were excited and hoping that today would be super warm and sunny to be able to get some work done. It's not very warm. We have the heater going, but we are eager to get doing some more things on the camper. So let's go.
Let's go.
We are itching to put the flooring in.
Oh, yes.
Philip isn't going to let me wait more than another day to get this flooring in. For once, it's not me itching to push to the next step. It's Philip.
I want to get it in. I want to see it.
He really wants to get the countertop and the flooring in. And so that means that I have a lot more white painting still to get done. I have been painting for the past several days when we had warm enough weather to be actually able to put the paint in here. But since the last 2 days we were kind of at a standstill, it means I have a lot more white painting to do. So in order for Philip to get the flooring put in and us to be able to tag team the floor means I need to get the rest of this white painting done. But there's some areas in the kitchen that still need to be totally removed out of the camper before I can paint the rest of the kitchen white, which means that today we're going to tear out some windows and a wall in the camper, a whole wall in the front of the kitchen space.
It's like we're going backwards.
Why are we back to demo day again?
Can't we just fix one project and move on to the next?
Oh my goodness. It's like we're jumping all over the place because of the weather. And so today we're going to tackle an area that needs to get totally prepped before we can do flooring and countertop, because I do not want to get any paint on the floor once we get it installed.
No.
So today we're going to do a lot of work on the camper, like so many things, and getting everything ready so that we can lay flooring and counter tomorrow.
What?
You don't want to miss tomorrow's video. And speaking of not missing any videos, if you're not already subscribed to our channel, hit the subscribe button. What are you waiting for? YouTube tells us that half of you who are watching are not subscribed to our channel. So hit the button. We have lots of projects ahead of us on this camper, and you don't want to miss what we have in store.
No, you don't.
All right, let's go rip out some windows.
Let's go. I'm excited to do the floor, but before we get to the floor, I think what we have to do is remove this nasty back wall and get these windows out so you at least can get painting. So, let's see what we can get done.
So you're going to remove them from the inside?
Well, I think to get to the outside, I need to remove this screen. And I don't really know how they come out. And then I'm going to take these screws out and see what the window is. And then if I have to go to the outside, I'll go to the outside and remove the back part so we can paint it properly.
Because I have to use this spray paint, so we want to be able to do that outside. And then the rock shield's closed on the outside. So do we need to take the rock shield off at the same time, or we don't need to do that yet? We'll have to wait and see.
I don't know. We'll see. Let me get this off here and we'll see what we need to do.
The key is not to break a window
Or a screen.
or a screen. Okay, so he has the screen out, which means that I can clean this really well, but boy, this needs to be painted white. Starting to feel it warming up in this camper. Looks like that framing can come down and you won't have to remove the whole window. You'll just have to be able to remove the frame to be able to get those side pieces off, right?
I think so.
And then I can tape off the window from the inside, spray the inside, and then tape off the outside from the outside and spray that. So the window is set in, and so Philip needs to be able to remove these side pieces here where they were clearly damaged at one point because it was previously leaking here. And now that we know that it's not leaking, we need to put new wood in there. And I need to get these windows painted all the way in the sills. That way we don't have some dark parts of the windows and some white parts of the windows. So I think somehow I'm going to spray them like this and then have to open them from the other side once we get this piece back on, and then do the other side when it's open. Kind of complicated, but they all need to be white.
In order to get to this back part and to do it properly, I think we're going to need to take the countertop off. What do you think?
I say rip it out so the new one can go in.
That's what I was thinking. So that's exciting. So I'm going to try and pop this off as much as I can, and then sink we'll have to undo from the bottom, get the top off, and remove the stove.
So when we were doing our last video, we talked about how we were doing the measurements of our countertop from the far left of the stove here all the way to the far right side. And the reason why we were including that entire measurement is because we do need to surround this stove with countertop, just like the existing one. And so that was why we included such a large measurement in that. So we do need to take all of that out. So we are going to be restoring the stove, which means we need to get that all out so it can be properly cleaned before I can paint it, because it's going to be a pretty stove after. Let's get it out. Are you thinking about what you're going to cook in there?
Yeah.
The inside is really clean. The outside's super grimy. So clearly they used a lot of the stovetop, but didn't really use in the oven. It needs a real good clean. Yuck.
In order to get the stove out, I'm going to have to remove the propane feed, the main feed coming in, and then we can remove the stove and get it outside so we can
Clean this.
clean it. Or,
Ew.
yeah.
Clean, paint it, get the countertops in, do the wall behind. Getting this out means we can do the next couple steps here. Boy, is that grimy.
It's super grimy.
I mean, it would be better if it was our grime, but it's not our grime.
Here's your stove, honey. What do you want with it?
Well, I'm gonna help you carry that outside. Now we are unhooking the sink and the faucet so that we can get all of that removed so that we can take off the countertop. When we do the countertop tomorrow, we're going to use the template from the hole that was cut for this sinkhole on this countertop and faucet to be able to mark the spots on our new countertop. That way we don't have to measure and guess, we can just trace it on.
Yeah, our new countertop is just going to be basically the same layout as this, so shouldn't be too hard.
And we're going to cut it with the table saw, correct?
We are going to cut some with the table saw.
Yeah. What are you smiling about? You ready to get that out?
I actually like the double sink.
Yeah, me too.
It's key for when you're doing dishes. You can rinse and then, you know.
You do so many dishes. That's so important to you.
Yeah, so do you. The faucet, hot and cold, and then there's a couple like wing nuts on the bottom. So we're just gonna remove the hot. Hopefully no water still in it. We're not attached and the pump's not running, so.
And then what's underneath, I'm gonna come up to
Just these little locks. There's the faucet.
The countertops that are already here are obviously super grimy, but all they did was did a 1/2 inch plywood to make their countertop, and they used that Flooring no grip, really sandy, gritty stuff to be able to make a textured countertop, which is terrible because all of the grime in your kitchen will all go into that, and bacteria is just going to sit in there. It's just disgusting, and the way that it feels is just, well, not a nice countertop for sure. So had this been able to be repaired in some way, I would have done it, but it's just not worth it when it's just a tiny piece of 1/2 inch plywood. So we really wanted to invest in having a nice countertop in here. It's really going to change the whole look of the kitchen, be easier to wipe off, much more usable workspace. And we're going to come up with what we're going to do with this backsplash, which is going to go all the way down this side wall here, and then all across this back wall here. And that window will be white, so Let's get that countertop out.
That wouldn't have been long enough to go
into the countertop anyways.
Countertop, no. Okay.
We're finding a lot of mismatched screws and hardware in the camper that just doesn't make sense. Sometimes too short, sometimes too long, not actually connected where they've got a screw screwed into. Very makeshift, so it's good that we're taking it apart to do it the right way. While you're under there, I had an idea at 2 a.m. Do you want to hear it?
Your 2 a.m. ideas are always so great. I totally want to hear it.
I was thinking of using my scroll saw to create a 3D map that we could have of Canada and the US that can be on the wall in here that the kids could put pins in to show where we've been in the camper.
I really like that idea. I think that would be so cool.
It would be a big project to cut out all the small pieces, but I think it would be worth it in the end to have it like stained 3D on the wall. Ooh, countertop. That was not even attached, that whole other side?
Well, maybe it was a little bit.
Barely. Oh. Well, my painting of the walls is durable. You had to rip that right up the wall. Look at that. Didn't even scratch the wall, and that's just the primer. Countertop is out.
Countertop is out. Oh, hey.
Wow, the kitchen looks huge now. Way to open up the space there, Philly. So now he's going to take down all of this crummy stuff that's along this back spot now that the back window's off and the countertop's not there, so that we can install new 1/4-inch plywood along that whole area, making it nice and seamless so that I can paint it white, and then I can actually start accessing and painting some of the rest of the white all the way around. That way it'll be nice and sealed after. And then once Philly gets all this stuff off, because we know it's going to be messy and crumbly, I'll be able to come in here and do a really good clean, making sure that all the stuff that's back there is vacuumed really nice, and all the runners of the kitchen here are all super grimy. Everything in here needs to be cleaned like crazy. And I had a bunch of questions asking if I was going to paint or do something along the bottom inside the cabinetry. Yes, I will definitely be doing something back there. So today I just want to make sure that it's nice and cleaned out, and that we get all that gross, cobwebby, sticky, greasy stuff from a typical kitchen out of that area.
Here we go.
Yay! Oh, do not get that. So this is the board that was there. It's a very, very thin cardboard-like MDF board that's clearly gotten water damage over the years. And now that we know that it's not leaking in here, we need to make sure that all this is gone, because this is just gonna mold. It's gross.
This stuff's just a sponge.
It's so bad. You can see from the corner of this window here that there are some watermark line marks that show us the path that the water was taking. And we found soggy, wet, molded insulation behind the plastic that's behind this kitchen spot here, which means that the window obviously needs to be sealed more. And now that we've got some of that taken care of, we need to take all of this insulation out, put some new insulation in, and then close it back up with new board, which would probably explain why that piece was missing on the left there. They were probably trying to see where the water was coming in, and it looks like they've put some sealer there, but that wasn't the source of where the water was coming from. And so now that we know where it's coming from, we need to put some new materials in there, likely all the way behind here. Let's get to it. We have some cleaning up to do still underneath all the counter area, but I've gotten all of the insulation that's fallen. It was all stuck to the plastic. It was super wet. Really lucky that we have a shop vac, and we can make sure we can get that cleaned out, because we don't want all that debris behind the wall. And we want to make sure we have some proper insulation. And so what I'm going to do now is cut some insulation that we have left from putting new insulation underneath our subfloor, and be able to install it in some of these areas so we can put the plastic stapled back on before we can put our 1/4-inch plywood. So we still need to removing this top piece? No, we don't need to take that off. That one wasn't wet, right? So just the sides here along the bottom, and just down a little bit behind the counter here. So I'm going to do just some quick rough measurements, cut the styrofoam pieces, set them in, and then we'll be able to staple that plastic back up and then get the table saw fired up so we can cut those pieces and put them back up, because we want to get this prepped today so we can paint for tomorrow's flooring.
Yeah.
Okay. It really just makes sense just to take that out and put green.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna grab a pair of gloves and the staple gun so I can staple the plastic.
Let's do it.
That stuff was dry, just super old, so it's better for us to put that other stuff in. It was like an inch shorter on the bottom than it was on the top, so.
Looks great.
All right. Now that we have all of this ripped out and the new insulation in, all that yucky, wet, moldy stuff cleaned up and gone, we're going to use the 1/4-inch plywood and the jigsaw, because this is a very irregular shape. All the ends here are not really that squared off, and so we're going to do some measurements, be able to use the jigsaw to trace out and make the spots that we need to refill in that 1/4-inch plywood, and then I can use the putty, seam it all up to be able to paint this white.
Yeah, we're going to 9.
Okay, so 9 there and 9 there. That's actually pretty good.
Oh gosh.
This one is crappy. I think we own like 5 other ones.
Where are they? It's like our socks. They're with our socks. Wherever our socks are our measuring tapes.
And what else am I always looking for? Allen keys. I'm always looking for where the little Allen keys are.
Yeah.
It's okay, I know Mom watches, and I'll end up getting a measuring tape in my stocking this year. Okay. 90. No, don't go away again. I thought I lost it the other day.
Yeah, we just found you. What a good use of the safety glasses.
I'm gonna put them, I'm not cutting it. I'd like to say first day with the new measuring tape, but I don't have a new one yet.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Is that whole length I have? I couldn't have cut that perfect myself.
It looks so... You did cut it perfect yourself.
More perfect myself.
You did cut it yourself.
Not bad for like a completely mismatched shape. Okay, so we need some more nails in it for sure. We're definitely lower than where the counter is gonna go.
That's
so that's
perfect.
awesome.
Yeah.
So adding that extra inch on the fly, we needed that extra inch.
Yes.
It would have been just matching the countertop had I not added that extra inch on the bottom. So I'm glad that I did that.
Good job.
For sure. Okay, so we need some more. Do you want to make sure they're not coming out the other side?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm taking the camera.
I had the long one.
No. We're good. Yeah, this is what worried us. We didn't do this. Somebody else used brad nails and they shot them right through the front.
We need to get that whole long.
Which we think some of our water problems are from that. And these monstrous size holes.
Can you please remind me why I insisted on white windows?
Yeah.
This is such a pain because the windows accordion out. So if you spray from the inside when it's closed, then you don't get all the dark inside. And if you spray from the outside, then when you fan it, you're going to have stripes of brown as well as on some of the inside seams.
So what you're saying is you got to tape both sides?
I have to tape both sides and spray them 2 or 3 different ways, switching where the tape is. So I have to do this inside here. I'm going to bomb with spray paint all here, let it spray out so that I can get all in here and around here before we seal it all up and everything. And then because there's these ribs under here, I have to make sure I get them from this side, because if I close these and spray paint from the outside so nothing sprays in, then those spots won't be covered. So every time we open the window, there'll be like areas where it was still brown. And I'm not using newspaper, I'm using tape because this has been the best way to do it.
Without having any splatter.
Right, because spray paint is so hard to get off of the windows, even with a razor blade.
Yeah. Well, when you're done that one, you got the one to the left to do.
Thanks. Oh my goodness. And I want to spray this, bomb it with the spray paint, and then leave while we edit so that no one's in here with the spray paint.
Right.
And then I can come back in here later and do more work.
I like the idea.
It was a good heartfelt idea,
Yeah.
just, you know.
Floors tomorrow.
Floors tomorrow. I know, I keep telling myself that.
Floors tomorrow.
Baby says I have to dance every time we shake it.
Yeah, you should dance.
I need to put, where's my hoop again? I don't have a mask. The world doesn't have masks. Okay. Ready?
Oh, you're spraying the truck. Oh. Oh. Oh.
Want to move the truck?
Yeah. Where's the keys?
They're right there.
Oh my gosh.
So I have the inside of this window frame sprayed, and then I'll be able to do the outside after. And we have the screens that were in there being cleaned and drying so that I can spray the frames of those as well. And then the great big frame that went all the way around it is just drying right now. I spray painted that. So I have to come and do a second coat on this in a little while, but definitely going to brighten up this space and match those other white windows. And then we'll have to keep going with all the rest of the windows, because they all are brown and they all need to be white. Lots more white to do. You just never know what you're going to uncover when you're renovating a camper.
Yeah, it's always something.
We had a long to-do list of things we wanted to accomplish today, like getting the rest of the inside totally painted, and that wall was just supposed to be a little bit of wood repair, which turned out to be mold, wet insulation, a lot of really long brad nails sticking out the backside of the camper, which is probably letting water in. We found the sources of 2 more small spots that have leaked in the past that we now have sealed up. We put new insulation in, we have new wood in, we have all of those awful nails that were sticking out all out so that those can get all completely sealed up from the outside before we do the front and outside exterior of the camper. So we didn't get to a few things we wanted to get to today, but we'll probably work on those tonight because we just won't be able to help ourselves. But we have some white paint drying around the window frames, and we know now that that whole front is all sealed up and ready for us to start being able to put in some of the installing into the camper without worrying about mold and a lot of really terrible stuff being in our camper. We want to make this perfect for our family, so leaving those things in there and not uncovering, even though it's a little scary when you lift and see what's underneath, you don't really know what you're going to come up with. But better to do it now than after we get everything in that we want in here.
Yeah, and we got the oven out. And
oh yeah, we got the oven out.
Yeah.
We've been out here so long, I forgot everything
we got
did
the
today.
sink and the faucet and the countertop off and
Awesome.
opened that up, and we're moving right along. Tomorrow should be so fun.
I'm excited for tomorrow.
Yeah.
We're going to get some more work done tonight after we edit this video for you guys. And I'm so happy to know that even though our stove and our sink and everything is super grimy and just greasy from the past person that owned this camper, that they're in really good condition and they're going to clean up really nice and then get the finish that I'm putting on them. I think they're going to look so good in the kitchen. And a few things that we don't have to replace that could be a pretty big expense if we did end up having to replace those. So I'm pretty happy about that.
Yeah.
So today was a good day. It's still a little bit bright out, but it's getting to be evening time here. So we have to get this video edited and up for everyone. Thank you guys. We had a couple days of bad weather. I know some of you were worried about where we were. Don't worry if we don't post. We always leave a comment in our community tab. So if you don't know where the community tab is, you're going to head to our main channel page, www.youtube.com/Alicia English. And on there at the top, it says videos, about, playlist, community. Click community and then you'll get daily updates on if we're posting that day or why we aren't. We always post every day unless we state in the community tab that we're not posting.
We try to post every day.
Single day.
We love posting every day. It's just...
We had hail.
Yeah.
We had hail.
Unfortunate circumstances, sometimes we just can't post, but we'll always be back.
Don't worry, we're not going anywhere. So we are going to get some more work done on the camper tonight and update you guys tomorrow. And then tomorrow is a super exciting day. So tomorrow is Sunday. Do not miss tomorrow's episode because we have a longer episode for you tomorrow and we are installing the floors and hopefully the countertops also. We'll see how far we get tomorrow.
Really?
Right?
Yeah.
For sure we're getting the floors in tomorrow.
Floors and countertops.
We'll see how far we get. But definitely we're getting the floors installed tomorrow. So pretty exciting. And we're excited about getting the floors in because we haven't done a flooring job for quite a while. So we're pretty excited about that.
Yeah, excited.
So thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you on tomorrow's episode. And we love you guys. Thank you so much for all of your support. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.